Hello guys, today we are doing What If Deku had Eevee's Abilities Part 1, and this was suggested by somebody in the comments section. I don't know the name of it. Anyway, we start this off with Deku when he is born, obviously. Inko gives birth to a bright young, very small Eevee with... Yeah, actually, no. Babies are born bald. I forgot. Very small, though. I don't know how you would, cut... would it even be an inch? I don't know how tall puppies are born. Anyway, imagine it maybe a wolf cub. I think a wolf cub works. Okay, next, Inko takes him to her house, I'd imagine, and she's honestly weirded out. How did I give birth to a wolf? And she's going through, she's questioning life. How does instead of giving birth to a normal baby, I get a wolf cub? She starts wondering if he said she's jeans. Anyway, fast forward a couple years, and he is now 4. And Inko takes the thing to the thing to the quirk doctor, and she doesn't know how to feel about Eevee Deku, because right now he's got the little hair that you see in this picture, but the mane under its chin is small, and the furry tail that looks awesome. And okay, so she still names the thing Izuku. Inko takes him to the quirk doctor, and that's when, for the first time ever, Izuku's like, "Where are we going?" He goes she just screams "You can talk!" And she starts screaming "I didn't know you could talk." It's Izuku's "I could always talk." And she's like, "What didn't you do before?" "I don't know." Inko's having a midlife crisis right now. The wolf cub she gave birth to can now speak at the rightful age of 4. But no, after the first steps, after learning to read and write, now it speaks. Okay. So at the quirk doctor. Docker. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. But that was funny, I think. So, we get to the quirk doctor, and he diagnoses his, Izuku's quirk as evolution. And he has the potential to shift into any element within the right stimuli. And don't question the word I used for all you 3rd graders out there. Look it up on Google. Deku is super happy about this.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
You didn't hear that. Sorry guys, I'm in the room recording with my brother. He gives me ideas. I record the entire thing. He gives no ideas. I still record the whole thing. Okay, so Deku now going home with Inko, and Inko asks, Izuku, are you happy about your quirk? While still having a midlife crisis, because now the adorable cinnamon roll can speak. And she puts him in daycare, obviously. That would be so stressful. Like, how do I feed this? No one knows how to feed Deku, apparently. Anyway, fast forward a couple years to middle school. And because Katsuki he doesn't care about Izuku. He just finds him like, you got the stereotypical quiet kid, you got the mean kid, you got the talkative kid, and then you got the weird kid. The kid no one talks to, but you just don't want to talk to them. It's like the vibe they give off. Izuku is approachable and super friendly, but he's weird. I love evolutions, guys. Don't hate on me for that, but I honestly hate Bakugo. I love evolutions. I love Deku. I hate Bakugo. So, Bakugo, I'm gonna just give a pat on my back to myself. No one likes Bakugo. I'm sorry. If you do, you're weird. Okay, so to the last day of middle school, Inko, now trying to adjust. Deku is now this size, as you see in the picture. I think like 2 feet tall. His biggest growth spurt yet. You know, maybe if he had One For All, he could get to 2.5 feet, but he's not All Might, guys. He can't be 2.5 feet. I'm sorry, that's too big for him. That would be like a goat Izuku. Oh my gosh, that would be a horrible one. Okay, so, the teacher comes out of the classroom and is like, everyone, I got your future career plans. And he yeets them in the air. And they all go flying like, I know you all want to be heroes. And then Bakugo's like, who you coming in with me? Like, I am the best one here. No one is better than me. And Izuku is just staring him dead in the face. Like, there were invisible knives in Bakugo's head. The Levi's stare. He was shooting daggers at him. Like, how dare you? I am better than you. You say you're better than everyone. I am everything better. But, you know, he can't say that because that's illegal. Because Bakugo's ego, you see, there is real Bakugo. There is All Might. There is Nezu. There is the president, there is the earth, there is God, and then there is Bakugo's ego a step above that. That is how high it is. It's higher than it's higher than God.
Higher than my personality?
Shush. Okay. So, Deku is walking around. And that's when the sludge villain jumps him while he's under the archway. And he hits the ground face first because Deku was like, nope, face full of nope. And right now, Deku, being in his Espeon form because it is daytime. I'm sorry I did not mention it. So, this is how we'll put Deku's forms into place. So, in daytime, normally, without any stimuli, he is just Espeon. If it is a thunderstorm, it is Jolteon. If Deku is in a forest or surrounded by nature or like in the woods, he's, as you would expect, Leafeon. If he's in somewhere very warm or like fighting Endeavor, he is Flareon. And if he is, Sylveon I'm still working on because that is, I don't even know how to deal with Sylveon's one. During the night, obviously Umbreon. When it's raining or he's in the water, he is What? Vaporeon. And when he's in like an ice climate or it's colder than water, it is Glaceon. Eevee, we don't, no, just no. And Sylveon is banned, so yeah, we're just stuck in Gen 5, guys. Gen 6. Thanos meant Gen 6 for a little while, and he took a stroll, and he got his Infinity Stones, and Sylveon was gone. Same with Pikachu, successfully. Anyway, I'm sorry for blabbering on, guys. All Might comes out of the sewer, and he's like, sup, and then he blows everything away. There is Deku. You see, like, the leaves when there's, like, a tornado? It was like, yeet! And he went flying. And the sludge villain, we don't talk about the sludge villain. He was yeeted into the wall. Not onto it, into it. And Deku, now, with his head banged against the stairs because successfully that blocked him from going to America. All Might is like, "Are you okay, young man?" And then Deku is like, "I can see Jupiter." All Might is like, nice. And he gets the sludge villain in his awesome water bottle, and before leaving, Izuku somehow gets onto his very thick suit, and he can barely grip onto it. That's how skin tight that suit is. He's got to like grip it with all of his might, his almightiest might, and he goes onto the building as always. That is when Deku sees All Might, is like, and All Might's like, "Why did you grab my leg?" And Deku's like, "I wanted a question." And All Might's like, "And my autograph wasn't enough?" And Deku shines up with stars in his eyes like, "Autograph!" It's like, hallelujah, hallelujah. His hands are shaking, just like mine, because All Might's handwriting is divine. So Deku eventually gets the courage to ask him, it's like, "Before you leave, All Might, do you think I can be a hero with my quirk?" And then All Might's like, "What's your quirk, Wolf?" And Deku was like, "I'm offended. My quirk allows me to change into any element, but I still look like myself." And then All Might was like, amazing. Nice. And All Might's like, you are strong, you can be a hero. I'ma head out. And he jumps off. And Deku is like, approval. And he somehow gets off the building. We still don't know the theory about that. Like, Matt Pat, how did he get off of that building? Did he jump? Or there were stairs? Probably not stairs, though. It can't be allowed that there were stairs. Let's say as Espeon he made stairs with his big brain energy that he had from being a Jedi. So Deku eventually walking around is like, approval from my idol. I still got the autograph. And he eventually hears the biggest boom boom in the middle of the city. And then he sees the giant explosion like, oh my gosh, Bakugo did it again. He just knows it's Bakugo. He sees the explosion, it's like, oh, it's Bakugo's ego. And he runs up to the crowd, and as 2 feet tall, He can't see anything. He can't even see the fire. That's how low to the ground he is. He's lower than most people's kneecaps. The toenails are taller than him. That's accurate. Anyway, he eventually gets onto an apartment's staircase, and he sees the sludge villain is choking out Bakugo, and he's like, All Might? Can you do this? And All Might he just knew someone wanted him to do something, and then he buffs up and does the biggest smash ever into the air. And the sludge villain is like, not again! And he goes into the wall again. Not onto it, still into it. So eventually, that happens, and Bakugo approaches the 2 feet tall Eevee Deku. And he's like, I didn't need your help, nerd. And Deku's like, I got talked to by the Boom Boom Boy. And eventually, All Might approaches Deku like, young man, my point still stands. You can still be a hero. I told you you could, and you still can. But you can be cooler. And Deku's like, but I did nothing. And All Might's like, yeah, but you should take my hair. And then Deku's like, I already got enough. And then he runs off. So it's fast forward 10 months of Izuku memeing, and he gets into the entrance exam of UA, and when he's walking off, he somehow trips, and then Uraraka's like, no, and then she gives him an ice pack like, this will recover all health. Words of my school nurse. Yes. And she walks off, and then Deku's like, oh, girl. And then he turns into Sylveon like, I got talked to a girl, and now I look like a girl. And then he turns back into Espeon. He's like, Pog. And then he goes into the word exam. And he does the word exam, and he does it very well. And then Ida points him out after the word exam. And Ida's like, you're wording during the word exam. That's illegal. And then President Mike is like, his wording is legal. And then they start bickering. And then eventually they go out to the practical exam. And that is when it starts thundering outside. Yep, that's right. Not a thunderstorm. It's thundering. And Jolteon now appears as Deku, and he starts sprinting to the robots, and he is making all the boom booms, but with electricity. Not the Bakugo boom booms, the yellow boom booms. And he gets 100 points because he's cool like that. He gets all the 3-pointers, all the 2-pointers, all the 1-pointers, and 1 0-pointer. Yeah, no matter what, he's still going to save Uraraka. You can, no matter what world, what canon, it's happening. So that happens, and fast forward 4 weeks, and Inkyo comes into the wolf den that Izuku calls it, and he sees Inko gives him the envelope from UA, and he opens it, and All Might's like, man who did not take my hair, welcome to UA. And then he does that little entrance, and Deku's like, I could have ate the hair, but that wouldn't match. It wouldn't match. And then the next day, he's walking up to UA. It's like, this is my journey to become the greatest hero. Patent pending. Bye. Hello, everyone. Today we are doing what if Deku had Eevee's abilities. So today we'll start off with a quick recap. So Deku just got into UA. He's now onto the campus of UA. He is currently in Espeon form. So remember guys, whenever he's in the daylight and there's no special conditions, he is Espeon. If it's night, he's Umbreon. If it's particularly hot or there's a warmer quirk used on him, he'll turn into Flareon. If it's a water-based quirk, it'll be Vaporeon. And then if it's extremely watery, it'll be Glaceon. And then Leafeon, if he's in nature. And what's her name? The fairy one, Sylveon. If he's like embarrassed, which no one likes you, Sylveon. Oh, and Jolteon, right? In thunderstorms and stuff like that. I'm sorry, guys. I like Sylveon, but this what if doesn't qualify for Sylveon's awesomeness. Okay. Just making sure that you guys are all caught up now. So, Inko is happy for the wolf boy. Or the fox. I guess they look like a fox more so. Because the tail. Yeah. They'll be referred to as foxes now. So now it's the fox den. And thank you for whoever said in the comments. Imagine what it would look like for Inko to give birth to the little like fox or wolf coming out. Like that would be so weird. That's something weird to think about, comment section. You're weird, comment section. You're real weird. Anyway, we start off with Deku walking in on his first day of school, and he eventually finds class 1A with some trouble, and he sees this big doorway, and he feels short. Just gonna let that sink in. Anyway, well, yeah, to be fair, he's real short. I'd say 2 feet, but I don't know how tall 2 feet is. 2 feet could be maybe like a whole ladder. You never know. Anyway, Shush. Anyway, Deku walks into the class and then he sees King Explosion murder himself. The king. The not legend. It's Bakugo. And he's yelling at Ida, the guy who didn't like his wording in the entrance exam. He didn't like his wording. I'm sorry, guys. R.I.P. Deku's wording. It was 2021 through 2021. It lasted a couple seconds because Ida didn't like it. I'm sorry for rambling. Anyway, Uraraka comes up behind Deku and she's like, "Hello, thank you for saving me. What's your name?" And then Deku's like, "My name is Izuku Midoriya." And then Ochako's like, "My name is Ochaku Uraraka. Nice to meet you." I'm sorry if I'm shaking the screen, guys. Yeah, this is my phone. Anyway, back to where I was. Uraraka just introduced herself to Deku. Okay, so Aizawa comes out of the doorway, and he's like, get your gym uniforms on, and also you're being too loud. I need to sleep now. Do it or else I'll kill you. I wanted to make that rhyme. I'm sorry, guys. So they put on their gym uniforms. They go outside. So Deku, he goes first because he's awesome. He's an evolution, so he just naturally got 1,000,000 points. He is the entrance exam. He is the entrance exam. Jolteon powers. So we're gonna say he is Espeon with this one. So he uses his big brain powers with psychology, and the ball hovers up, it retracts, and then it launches. And then as I was like, why didn't you throw it? And Deku's like, that would not have been pretty. And then he clocks the time, the distance, and it says 985 meters. And then as I was like, huh? How did your mind power? How did your quirk shoot it off that far? You don't even have that strong of a quirk. He doesn't think. Little does he know. There is more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's more than 8 evolutions in this what if. That's a little hint for next part. Yeah, next part. Well, yeah, we're going to be introducing new evolutions, like a poison type, a steel type, a ghost type. One of every type. Even Eevee's going to look cooler as normal type. But he never transforms into normal type because Espeon, because he already evolved sometime. So, everyone else goes, and as always, Bakugo is mad. Well, his natural aura is just anger, so seeing the 2 feet tall fox outdistance him in a throwing competition, you'd imagine he's kind of mad because his ego is over 9,000 meters tall. So, Deku, he naturally just crushes all the exams. The grip strength one, he crushed the grip. I believe Shoji won that. The one with no, that's the guy with the tentacle arms. I forgot the guy with the Sugar Rush name. Sato. He got first, I believe, and he did a good grip. Izuku crushes the grip. It's nearly a pancake. So, yeah, because we kind of have to make the protagonist a bit overpowered. I can't have Mineta levels of strength. That's illegal. So, Deku, he gets first in the entrance exam. I mean, why am I saying entrance exam? Physical exam. And Momo still gets second because she's got an all-around great quirk. It's not based on one thing. It can do many things. Whack people with the pole, that's 100. Whack people with an orange pole, also 100. Even a purple one and a yellow. That's 100. Sorry for rambling on, guys, but Momo got different color poles that she can make out of her back, and it's kind of cool. Don't take that the wrong way. Anyway, so next period, All Might is he's teaching them. So he tells all of them to get into their hero costumes and meet him outside. Izuku has no hero costume, you see. Because he's cool like that. He likes being naked in front of other people. I mean, yeah, there's literally no point in clothes for him. I mean, I guess you could put on like little dog sweaters, but what's that going to do? I mean, like, if you want him to have a hero costume, he can. Maybe he can have like a little uniform, but like, there's probably no pictures for that. So, too much work. Deku, he still gets paired with Ochako against Bakugo and Ida. So, Bakugo and Ida set up their bomb, and then All Might says, go! And then Deku and Ochako go into the building. And that's when Bakugo immediately pops out of the corner. And he starts bum rushing towards them. So Deku just puts a stop to him entirely. He's like, why can't I move? And then Izuku's like, my big brain powers. And then Bakugo's going to sit there for a while. His explosions have stopped, so now he's floating. And then Ochako eventually gets up to his level and then touches him. And while he's stuck on the ceiling, Ochako ties him up with the capture tape, and then they go to fight Ida. Because brains over bronze. Think of Bakugo as a fighting fire type. The psychic's going to win. Because fighting gets destroyed by psychic, and fire neutral. So it's still super effective. Anyway, they eventually find Ida, and Espeon Deku still stops him in place because I feel Espeon could do that. And Deku wins. Deku team wins. Ochako for the win, guys. So, Deku is really happy that he won. Bakugo says, you cheated. You can't do that. You just can't. I didn't even get close enough for you to transform. And Deku's like, oh, right, the fire part of you. He's like, the fire? You mean my quirk? And then Deku's like, yeah, that. And then he's like, I could have got you to turn to the fire one. That would have been such a slaughter. And then Deku's like, thinking about ego memes. And then Bakugo is like, what did you say to me? And then Deku's like, nothing. And he's like, you better be, nerd. And then he walks away. And then all the matches remain the same. And then, why do I always forget what happens before the UA entrance exam? It's no matter what. What happened? You can weigh in. What happened before the USJ? I'm just asking my brother, guys, because I want to extend the time of the video. Think faster.
Nothing I can remember.
Okay, we're going to say we just instantly go to the USJ because nobody remembers. I think the swimming thing happened, actually. Apparently not. Anyway, to the USJ. So, Aizawa has them going into the USJ, and then they meet 13, the really cool support hero. Then as 13's explain the instructions, they go into the USJ. Everyone's astonished on how awesome it looks. And Kirishima points out the purple portal at the water fountain. He says, oh, cool, real fake villains. Then Aizawa was like, Nani? And then everyone looks at the water fountain. And then they see the purple portal, and then Shigaraki glances in like, sup? It's like, sup, my bros? It is Wednesday, my dudes. And all the villains come out of the portal. Then Aizawa, as in canon, you can't change it. He goes down there. No one tries to stop him because they don't want to feel the wrath of Aizawa. Like, you get it. Anyway, as always, they're teleported somewhere else, and Deku falls into the water, and then he turns into Vaporeon. Yeah. And then he uses surf, and then he starts surfing on the water, and Mineta sees this like, how are you doing that, Deku? And then Deku's like, I don't know, it just seems cool. Then Froppy comes out and is like, how are you surfing on the water? You have no surfboard. And then Deku's like, I'm just different. And then all the villains get destroyed because he uses I think this is a move. It's called Whirlpool. Yeah, I think that's a move. So all the villains are in a little whirlpool, and then Deku, Mineta, and Sue make it to the main area. And then they see Aizawa getting creamed by the Nomu. He's literally getting his head clapped onto the ground like a basketball. So, the Nomu notices Deku and friends, and then Shigaraki says, go kill the students. And then right as the Nomu is about to absolutely destroy Sue, Deku, with his... What does this trigger? One sec, guys. I gotta pull up the picture. And Deku turns into this thing. And he is the fighting type. And then, for a brief moment, he turns into this form. And then he, with his little paw, he makes a fist. Well, like... What's it called? Like... a power-up punch. And then he does that onto the Nomu, but Shigaraki comes... Wait, I'm thinking about this wrong. Shigaraki charged at Sue, and the Nomu came in and blocked it. So that's what happens. And Deku ends up hitting the Nomu, and he's terrified now, because he realizes, oh wait, this is the I can't read Spanish. Okay, so, Deku, he is now terrified, because he realizes, I may or may not have just got myself into some deep poo-poo. And then, All Might appears, is like, who is touching my children? Then, as always, the Nomu and All Might duke it out. And that, from there on, goes the same as usual. So, if you guys hear any background music, it's because I like entertainment. Wow, I'm doing entertainment. So, fast forward a couple weeks. Fast forward some training. And fast forward to the UA Sports Festival, because we're cool like that. Deku gets prepared to do the first thingamabobber. Midnight says, on your mark, set, start. And then Todoroki freezes everyone as always. And this makes Deku go into Glaceon. Right there. I almost mistaked Vaporeon for Glaceon. I'm so sorry, guys. I almost did that. They look so similar, I feel. Just kidding. So Deku, he actually jumps onto the ice, and he begins ice skating on it. Todoroki doesn't notice, but Deku is secretly right behind him in second place. And Bakugo's like, come here, Deku and Todoroki. I'm gonna pass you all and get number one, like I said, because because I'm cool. Another ego moment right there. So, Deku is now have been noticed by Todoroki, and he turns around quickly while still making ice as like a little walkway, and shoots a giant burst of more ice. You thought I was gonna say fire. No, more ice at Deku, and he simply jumps over it, because Glaceon's awesome. And eventually, after just a lot of that, the race concludes, and Deku, as always, wins. Yeah. So, into the cavalry battle, we got Ochako, Hatsume, Tokoyami, and Deku. So, Deku, in his Espeon form, over here. So, actually, no. We're gonna say... Oh, one second. So, Deku turns into this version of Eevee, and this form only occurs when he's in high pressure situations. So, Midnight blows the whistle. I just said the whistle. The whistle. And everyone charges at Deku's team. And that's when he starts commanding everyone. And he's being a really good team captain because Eevee's cool. And Todoroki and friends eventually make it over to Deku's team, and Ida goes into Recipro Burst, but right as Todoroki's about to steal the 1 million band, Deku uses Swift, and the stars knock Todoroki off of everyone, and he actually gets disqualified his team. Who's going to replacing him? That's a good question. That's a real good question, actually. Who's going to replace him? Random people. Because, I didn't plan that far ahead. But it's cool. Eventually, Deku's team wins the cavalry battle. And some randos get in. Let's say, yeah, I'm just going to say random people. So, actually, no, let's say Monama's team gets in, actually. Yeah, let's say that. So, Deku, first round, as always, still fights Shinso. And he's gonna be, still in... I'm gonna say the sports festival is a high-pressured situation all on its own. So, he's still in that Eevee form. And when Shinso tries to talk to him, Deku is like, yeah, no talk, fight. And he just shoots some... how did I forget the name? The star move. I literally just... yeah, Swift. He uses Swift on him. And Shinso falls out of the arena and is like, why didn't you answer question? And Deku's just like, no. At least you also... and then, next round, he fights a random person, and he wins, because Deku team goals. And then next round, it's another random person. He also wins that. And let's just get on to where we actually want to go. Deku versus Bakugo. So Bakugo, right as Midnight blows the gun, and she starts the match, Bakugo immediately charges at Deku, making it a Flareon. And Deku immediately jumps back and starts shooting flames at him. And Bakugo is struggling to dodge this. And eventually it gets on one of his clothes, and he's like, dang it, Deku, you got my clothes burnt. And Deku's like, it's all in the art of war. And Bakugo's intimidated by that. And that's when he gets blindsided with a giant fire blast. And he gets pancaked into the arena. He's like, ah. And then he gets up And then he's like, get ready for my ultimate attack, Deku. And then he jumps up, and then he starts using tons of explosions, and it looks like a fire hurricane. And then he says, Howitzer impact! And then he jumps up, and then in a diagonal spiral, jumps at Deku. And right as Deku gets a fire blast shot at him, Bakugo fires the giant explosion. And the blasts collide. And this sends everyone flying. And in the end result, as Midnight can barely see now, Bakugo passed out, indented into the stadium wall, and Deku, with barely hanging on to the arena, with some leftover stadium. So Deku is pronounced the winner. One sec, guys. And Deku, after this, when he's being like all praised and stuff, he turns into Sylveon and is real shy and like does the little hand thing he does in the anime to like cover his embarrassment. And then that is where we'll be leaving off, guys, for part 2. Thanks for watching. Stay determined. Bye. So we're going to say Deku also goes to Manual. Same does Ida. But Deku goes with Manual because, just because. So, Deku, when Ida and him are patrolling the streets, Ida and Manual see a fire up ahead and they run over. And then they see some Nomu. And Deku, since it's a high-pressured situation, immediately turns into this boy. But since there's also fire, he turns into Flareon. So he ends up turning into a mix of them. Kind of like the ground type one. Kind of looks like both of them. Like a more reddish feel, but the same brown. So, right now he's in his ground type mode. And let's just say he goes up to fight the Nomus. And Ida says he'll be right back. And Menu's like, hey, wait. And then Ida runs off to Stain. And Deku's like, Manuel, I got him. And then he starts running after him. And eventually he finds Ida about to be killed in front of Stain. And then he immediately throws a rock at him. Well, he shoots it more so. And it hits him right in the face. And it makes Stain pass out because that would hurt. Would it knock him out? Yeah, probably. So he gets Ida up, and then he gets Native up, and all the police and stuff come over, and Stain is captured. And then eventually they return to Manuel, and Manuel's like, where were you guys? And then Deku says, well, let's just say we encountered Stain. He's like, is Ida okay? It's like, yeah, he's in the hospital with the Pro Hero Native. He's like, what happened to them? So let's just say I got to them before Stain could finish them. So, Deku, well, the rest of that goes the same. So, next we have the thingamabobber, the summer training camp. So, before that, they have the little swim thing. That happens. Okay. So, they go onto the bus, and then they take their little field trip, and everyone's happy. And that's when eventually they make a pit stop, and then they meet the Wild Pussycats. And then Deku, one sec, guys. Deku notices that they're about to crunch the land. he jumps up to try and get back up, but he barely doesn't make it. And then he actually makes like a little pothole with his ground type abilities. And Aizawa notices this and uses his quirk. And then Deku falls down also. He's like, what the heck, Mr. Aizawa? It's like, it's all a part of testing you guys. And then he sees the beast come out of the trees. And he's like, get ready for a fight, class. And then they all go into fight. And then hours later, they start fighting. So Deku, what do you mean hours later they start fighting? They fight until hours later, Deku. Oh, I got a new subscriber. Nihiligo could be cool, actually. An Ultra Beast, imagine that. Cool idea. So remember, guys, shout out to Josana Stokes. And thank you, Monica. So Deku and everyone makes it back to the training camp. And they endure 2 hard days of training. And Deku is put through constantly changing forms in different climates to better get familiar with his forms. So he learns how to use his grass one a lot. That's what he used during the tree beasts. And he's still using that form now. Well, that's what he's in normally. He also uses air, he uses ice, he uses water, he uses dragon, he uses bug, he uses all forms. So you got fighting, you got steel, you got Umbreon, you got rock. Ghost was a hard one to find out. You got psychic, you got poison. This is my favorite one. I call it Poyon. And then Sylveon, you got Flareon, and then you got Eevee on ground type. Yeah, so let's look at Leafeon. So Deku has to endure all that training, and the same Todoroki goes through his fire and ice training. Because now he's being forced to use it with his training because they want him to get accustomed to using his full quirk, but he still doesn't like to use it more so. So, after that, they make supper and everyone's happy. And then eventually one night, yeah, no copyright music. Deku and his classmates are suddenly attacked by the League of Villains. So Deku remembers that weird kid Koda who thought he was pretty cool, and he asks, "Why are you guys here?" And it's like to train to be heroes. And then he only sounded fond of Deku, so Deku goes over to him and meets him in the mountains. And then he sees this other guy about to kill him. And he actually sees it's Muscular. He doesn't know who Muscular is. It's Muscular. Okay, guys. So Deku starts fighting Muscular. He uses Leaf Tornado, uses Razor Leaf, he uses all those moves. But he can't seem to make a dent in his super strong muscles. So eventually, he uses 3 Leaf Tornadoes and launches it at him. And this blinds him for a bit because it cuts him on his eyes. So he takes Koda and runs off. And after they make it a good far away, Deku hears someone in the bushes and then sees it's Toga about to get the blood of Uraraka. And that's when he he uses razor leaf on Toga's neck and cuts her on the back of the neck. And she falls down like, ow, who did that? And then sees it's this little fox and it's like, why you? And then she throws a knife at it. And Deku dodges it and then throws more razor leaves at her. And keeps cutting her like, yeah. And Toga eventually runs off. And Toga and Sue are like, thank you, Deku. And then, yeah, it happens. Then eventually Deku meets up with Tokoyami and someone else, Shoji. And Dark Shadow is running rampant. So Shoji is currently hiding from Dark Shadow. And Deku's like, maybe we can use Dark Shadow for our advantage against any future villains we see. And then Shoji's like, yeah, we can. So eventually they meet up with, I forgot his name, but the guy with the very long teeth. Never mind, my brother's asleep. So, whoever the teeth guy's name is, that's who they fight. And as always, Dark Shadow creams him. And, eventually, Deku, they get to Bakugo and Todoroki, and Tokoyami and Bakugo are marbled by, why do I keep forgetting all these names? I'm so sorry, guys. Mr. Compress. Deku starts chasing after him. And he uses a giant leaf tornado, and this cuts all over Mr. Compress's suit. And this drops one of the marbles, and it's Tokoyami. So he falls onto the tree, and then he uses Dark Shadow. And it grabs Mr. Compress's foot and then slams him onto the ground, which knocks Mr. Compress out and nearly shatters his spine because he's like 50 feet in the air and then getting slammed with a lot of force into the ground. I can imagine that'll destroy your back. That's not gonna... Yeah, he probably does. Let's be honest, guys. Mr. Compress is dead. So, they get Bakugo back also. So when they eventually find Dabi, Dabi's like, where's Mr. Compress? It's like, where's the Compressy guy? And then Deku's like, defeated. And then Dabi is surprised, like, you little twerps. And then he uses a torrent of blue fire, and then it starts burning him all up it starts burning everyone. And Deku, he can't do anything against this. He can only send lots of grass attacks, but they get instantly burned by the fire. So Deku is completely defeated. But that's when he turns into Flareon, and then he starts fighting back against Dabi with his fire. And that's when eventually Deku catches a whiff of the poison because Mustard hadn't been defeated yet. And that's when he also turns, right when Dabi and him had stopped firing for a little, he turns into Poyon. And he then shoots a lot of poison needles at Dabi, and this gets him all over. And now he's poisoned. And this really hurts Dabi. He's like, when will the pain stop? And then he starts cutting himself like, stop it, stop it, stop it. Stop. And Dabi he's going mad over all the pain he's in from the very bad poisoning that he was just dealt. So then the fumes stop, and Deku turns back to Leafeon because Buster was defeated by Kendo and Metal Dude, Tetsu. And so Dabi is then captured within a torrent of leaf tornadoes. He gets cuts and scabs all over him, and then he falls unconscious. So, and then right when they're about to capture Dobby, they see Muscular appear out of the bushes. It's like with Toga also. Kind of sad. So, Deku gets scared because he knows how strong Muscular is. It's like, guys, if we band together, we can maybe defeat him. And then Muscular's like, no one can defeat me. And then Toga pops out from the back. And then Deku sends a torrent of leaf blades at them. And this cuts Toga on the head, knocking her out also. But Muscular just tanks it completely. So, he's getting hurt, but all the students have to dodge, and that's when eventually Bakugo gets hit in the chest, and this knocks the wind out of him, nearly knocking him out, but he just sits down like, he just lies down like, I can't do anything. How am I so powerless? I have to rely on the nerds. And then he gets this new burst of energy, and then he jumps like Howitzer Impact. And then Muscular jumps up and goes through the Howitzer Impact and just hits Bakugo square in the face, hitting him into a tree and knocking him out. And then Muscular is like, which one of you twerps is next? And that's also where we'll be leaving off, guys. This is a back-to-back what if. I just recorded part 2, and now I'm doing part 3. I'm sorry if this one is a bit short, but I'm kind of tired. You heard me yawning in the other one, so stay determined. This is Determination signing off. Bye. Hello, guys. Today we are doing part 4 of What If Deku had the evolution abilities. So we continue off where Deku was fighting Muscular. Bakugo had just been knocked off. So now it's like the Deku squad versus Muscular. So Deku, in I believe his Leafeon form, he can only like chip at Muscular, because you'd imagine even the razor sharp grass leaves won't do much to him. So he's more so a distraction. The main hitter would be Todoroki, I'd say. He's only using ice so far because Deku never pushed him in the sports festival, because he didn't even make it to the final round, yet alone the 1v1s. So rip. Anyway, Todoroki's firing ice shards at Muscular, and that's when Deku suddenly transforms into Glaceon. And then they both in tandem start to fire ice crystals at Muscular. And this is hurting Muscular because they're hitting on his head, not his muscles, because they figured out that his head might be a weak spot because it's not protected by the mass muscles. So that's when Muscular eventually overcomes the crystals and then jumps over to them and punches Deku right in the face, sending him flying. And Todoroki is like, Midoriya! And then he tries to go see if he's okay, but that's when Muscular appears right in front of him and then knees him in the stomach. He's like, you kids won't win against me. And then that's when Deku pops out of the tree part, being Umbreon. He uses Moonblast, and this hits Muscular, and it hits him hard, and he goes through 5 trees and hits his head on a big thick tree, and it cracks the tree. So Muscular is very damaged. He's not knocked out though, and that's when Deku uses Dark Pulse on him, and Muscular is hurt by that, and Todoroki comes over to Deku. He's like, "How do you have so many forms?" And Deku's like, "Don't ask. Honestly, don't ask." And that's when we're gonna be adding in a new League of Villains character. It'll be a character who can summon spirits, and they start to shoot like spirits with like swords at them, and this starts cutting the Deku squad all over, and that's when Deku suddenly changes over into the ghost form for Eevee, and he's like, "What's this form? This is new. Cool." And he starts using ghost abilities like Astonish, Lick, stuff like that, like ghosty abilities like Shadow Ball. And it starts destroying the spirits, and then that's when the spirit lady gets hit by one of the Shadow Balls, and this knocks her out. And that's when Deku shifts back into Umbreon, and they continue the assault on Muscular. That's when eventually Aizawa arrives, and he deactivates Muscular's quirk, and this defeats Muscular, and they capture him. But, actually no, there's no but. So, Momo put a tracker on the Nomu because the villains had to leave, so rip. And, right, so they capture all the villains that were knocked out in the forest, like Mustard, Dobby, Toga. Let's see, guys. Okay, guys, and eventually, after Deku and Todoroki are walking back to Aizawa to the camp, eventually, Deku and Todoroki fall to the ground because they succumb to their injuries. Muscular hit Deku into a tree, launching him into it, which that would hurt a lot. So, and Todoroki also got kneed in the stomach, also into a tree. There's a lot of tree wrecking in this part. The trees were not harmed in the making of this video. I promise. Oh, well, I can assure you, I can't promise it. You don't ask. Anyway, so now Deku's in his Espeon form, cause yay. And so Momo still puts the tracker on the Nomu. Deku and friends are now chilling at the hospital recovering, and everyone is all fine. But All Might wants to still lead the villain attack on the League of Villains. I mean, the hero attack on the League of Villains. And they're gonna do a raid, basically. And so no one in the Deku squad or any of the students go, because All Might wouldn't let them, or Aizawa, or Nezu, or anyone. So that happens, and they see on live Deku and everyone 1A watches as on the big screen as All for One is defeated by All Might, raising his hand up and says, "I am here, and it's your turn," as he points to the camera. And secretly, in a lot of rooms away, Mirio is crying because he's touched by All Might's words, and he's like, "I will make you proud, master." So that happens. So I'm gonna say Deku still goes with Night Eye because Night Eye is fascinated with all of Deku's transformations he can do. So that happens. And Night Eye tests him, and he doesn't touch any of the precious All Might merch. And Night Eye is super happy because he doesn't have to go and buy some new merch. Shop at allmight.com. Anyway, Deku One day when Mirio and Deku are patrolling the streets, they find this little girl who runs up to Deku's leg, and she says nothing. She's just whimpering, and then sees Overall come in the dark like, Eri, don't run. And it's like, and then he notices the hero's like, oh, sorry about my daughter. She's a bit troublesome. And then Eri's like, and Eri is very scared. And Deku and Mirio notice this, but Mirio tries to get Deku to just leave it. So Deku eventually starts asking Overall questions like, why does she have bandages? Overall just stays quiet like, can I have my daughter back? And they start arguing, then Mirio pushes Deku away, and he goes to Overall like, I'm sorry, sir. But he's just a hero in training. Like me, but yeah, we're sorry. We're very sorry. I hope your daughter gets better because she got bandages. Anyway, Deku and Mirio, while they're walking back to Night Eye, they start arguing like, why were you so persistent? It's like, because that was kind of suspicious with Overhaul. And he's like, who? Like, you didn't hear that. I totally just didn't have Deku make a fourth wall break. Yeah. Anyway, one time, when Night Eye is, when Deku and Mirio tell Night Eye about what happened, Night Eye tells them that the Overhaul guy is actually Kai Chisaki, a leader of the... How do I know Overhaul's real name, but I don't know the group? The Yakuza group. Thank you. Anyway, Deku and Mirio and Night Eye start the raid. Like, they gather everyone out, and then eventually they go over to the where the thingamajig is, the bases. So the League of Villains still cooperate with the Yakuza, but they're really short on numbers. There's still Kurogiri, there's Shigaraki, and honestly, that's about it. Because they lost a lot of people in the fight. Spinner didn't even get away. No one was spared. Everyone got the awesome unconscious treatment. So, when they're leading over, when the raid starts, everyone goes in on as in the anime, the guy with the little wavy thing he can do to like walls, he starts doing that. And Deku, since he's surrounded by steel walls, he turns into Steelion. And he's actually now popping through the metal like Mirio. But he can do it much faster, so it's kind of like teleporting, but like he's just popping through the steel. Because Deku's cool like that. And also he's very, very strong now. And durable. Because, but he's a lot slower. He's kind of like Kirishima now. Except overpowered. So, Deku eventually finds Mirio confronting Overhaul, and he jumps behind Overhaul and tackles him to the ground. And this really hurts Overhaul's arms, because imagine like a big thing of metal jumping onto your back. You can imagine that would hurt. And then Deku basically pancakes him, and Overhaul is about to touch Deku, and then Deku jumps back up because he noticed this, and he knows Overhaul's quirk. So they jump back, and Mirio takes Eri, and that's when Overhaul, he makes the terrain around them a lot bigger, and the steel eventually becomes deformed, and now it's like rocks. So Deku turns into Rockion. They're just gonna keep putting Eon in this. We're gonna try and get every evolution in this what if all around. So Deku starts using stuff like Rock Fall and Rock Blast and Rock Tomb and a lot of rock stuff. And he keeps hurting Overhaul, and eventually Overhaul goes to his second form with his forearms, and he starts to overpower Mirio and Deku because they're both trying to save Eri right now. So eventually Deku gets her onto his back, and Overhaul and him are fighting, and Mirio comes from the back and hits Overhaul. And then he's like, "You pesky kids," and then he goes to his third form, which everyone's scared of, and he pops up out of the ground. That's when Deku goes up there, and he jumps up, and then he activates his flying type, because he's flying now. So eventually, after a lot of fighting and a lot of bobbing and weaving, Deku hits Overhaul once on his face, but Overhaul just regens. That's when, since he's now putting out all 100% of his power, he turns dragon mode, and he starts dominating Overhaul. He uses Dragon Pulse, he uses Dragon Wing, and he's destroying. He uses Outrage too, and this dominates Overhaul. He basically... So you know the big punch move, like in the anime, Deku does to Overhaul? It's basically that, but like he keeps doing over and over. So eventually, one time when Overhaul is just about to start regrowing, Deku jumps over with a Dragon Claw, and he knocks Overhaul out with a big gaping wound now on Overhaul's chest, and Overhaul regrows his limbs, but he now falls to the ground. And Deku wins! Yay! And that's where we'll be leaving off, guys, for part 4. Bye! Stay determined. Hello, guys, and welcome to the finale and part 5 of What If Deku had Eevee's abilities. So, we continue where we left off, where Deku had just beat Overhaul in his new dragon form, which he uses in high-pressure situations when he's fighting a very strong opponent. So, fast forward a couple weeks later, and Deku is doing the school festival. Hatsume got him some gloves to allow him to switch to any form at will. So he picked those up, and he was walking back to the festival. He was trying to get there in time, but that's when he recognizes this person he'd watched on the internet called Gentle Criminal and La Bravo. And he confronts them, and they have that big fight. And then, so Deku uses his fighting form, and he's getting crushed right now by Gentle Criminal. He's getting hit from all over, and that's when Deku transforms into Dragon for a brief moment, and he starts pummeling. He starts pummeling Gentle Criminal, and Gentle Criminal is suppressed, like, where'd all this strength come from? And that's when Deku goes up in the air, and then he's like, max power outrage, and then he's doing it like, instead of max power outrage, he uses Draco Meteor, and the meteors come flying down, and they hit a Gentle Criminal, and he can only bounce back so many. Even if he bounces them back, they don't go that far up, and they keep falling, and eventually his quirk turns off for a brief moment, and the meteors start hitting him over and over, and this crushes his arms, making him unable to move, and him passing out. Before he passes out, though, he just says, "What a great future you have, kid. La Bravo. Maybe you can be something great like this one day." And then he dozes off. And that's when the heroes come in and capture Gentle Criminal and La Brava. So Deku eventually makes it back to the school festival, and he sings Hero 2. And when he's singing, I'm gonna say, he is Sylveon. Because that would make sense. So during the performance, he switches to all kinds of forms to add the lighting. Like in the festival during the song, he like threw a ribbon, but now he's making like electricity effects, and he's making snow, and he's making a little dust also, and he's doing like all kinds of cool effects. He can even make it nighttime in there. Well, he can make it really dark with his Umbreon form. So after that, a couple days later, Endeavor is fighting the high-end Nomu, and that happens, and Deku and everyone are surprised with Todoroki. I'm sorry for this being a short one, guys. I just want to have a good, clean ending with this one. So, okay, my point is, thank you for so much support once again. I just want to say thank you for all the support we got in January. I was not expecting the channel to get this popular this quick. So, this is Determination signing off. Bye. Also, before I leave, I just want to say, this series was, I feel, a lot more popular than I expected. It's kind of like the Greninja one. Like, I didn't expect that much support from it. Like, part 1 got 400 views in like a week. Nice job, guys. Okay, well, stay determined. Bye.
Peter Pan, that's what they call me. I promise that you never be lonely. Peter